Bill Spencer's private helicopter sliced through the night sky like a phantom driven by desperation, its rotors slicing the cold air as it carried Liam Spencer's unconscious form toward a fate that even his most devoted allies feared might destroy him forever. Steffi Forrester and Hope Logan had watched in horror as Bill, his eyes wild with a mix of fear and fanaticism, gently lifted Liam into the aircraft despite their anguished protests. They had pleaded for reason, for the second surgery back in Los Angeles, risky though it was, promising they would marshal every possible conventional treatment, but Bill's mind was set. He refused to accept the grim assessments of the LA surgeons, who had warned that another operation under the unforgiving glare of those sterile hospital lights could shred what was left of Liam's fragile mind. Instead, he had invested every penny of Spencer Publications' war chest into locating a clandestine clinic deep in the Alaskan wilderness rumored to practice an illicit neural therapy so experimental it had been banned in every major medical jurisdiction around the world. The therapy was said to rewire damaged neural pathways, to coax a brain on the brink of collapse back toward coherence, at the risk of inciting seizures, hemorrhage, or total cognitive collapse. To Bill it was worth the gamble, a father's final gambit in a battle against time. As the helicopter climbed above a quilt of clouds, Steffi and Hope exchanged grim looks, each grappling with the chasm between their love for Liam and the moral abyss into which Bill had plunged. They had no choice but to follow, forging an uneasy alliance as they chartered their own flight northward. Bridget and Finn had refused to aid them, leaving the two women to pool their resources, their legal licenses, their scant knowledge of Alaskan air traffic law, and their fierce determination. They filed forged flight plans, bribed a weary bush pilot with whispered promises of future paydays, and swallowed their squabbles, Steffi swallowing memories of heartbreak at Liam's hand, Hope quelling the resentment she harbored for Steffi's lingering hold on his heart, to form a single mission: to extricate Liam from Bill's vault-like secrecy before the ban procedure could be administered, a procedure whose very mention made Steffi's blood run cold and Hope quake with the furious energy of righteous panic. Below them, jagged mountain peaks emerged from the darkness as the helicopter touched down on a frost-cracked landing pad carved into a glacier's edge. The clinic itself was as remote as the rumors had suggested. A squat complex of steel and reinforced concrete, half hidden beneath drifts of snow, its windows glittering like dark orbs in the moonlight. A lone guard, bundled against the wind and armed with a rifle that gleamed in the floodlights, patrolled a barbed wire perimeter. Bill, buoyed by a convoy of rugged mercenaries he'd hired for the mission, strode forward, his long trench coat swirling around him as he barked orders to the hushed scientists within. Steffi and Hope, their hearts hammering with the knowledge that every second might be Liam's last, traded a barely perceptible nod before slipping through a service entrance that Hope had discovered in the pilot's distracted map briefing. Once inside, they were met with an antiseptic corridor lined with heavy doors behind which machines hummed, monitors glowed, and the faint scent of formaldehyde drifted through vents. Detailed charts of Liam's brainwaves hung on the walls, annotated in DR. Buckingham's precise handwriting, notes on his traumatic lesion, the unpredictable oscillations of his synapses, the creeping edema that threatened to snuff out any spark of neural life. It was a shrine to experimentation and a tomb waiting to be filled. At the clinic's heart stood the neural chamber, an eerie glass cylinder crisscrossed with electrodes and wires, its interior lined with cushions and restraints. Bill's cohort of scientists, men and women whose reputations had once marked them as pioneers, now wore expressions of grim determination, as though they were surgeons performing a divine transgression. They had prepped Liam for the induction of the band therapy, a cocktail of psychoactive agents and electrical stimulation designed to flood his brain with pulses strong enough to reopen synaptic tunnels that the tumor and the gunshot wound had flattened. Steffi's breath caught as she recognized the machine's central coil, identical to the one she had studied in grad school before she switched to fashion. She reached for Hope's hand, feeling the tremor that mirrored her own. "We have to stop this," she whispered. "If they fire that chamber up, his brain will fry." But Hope's lips were already moving in prayer for Liam's survival, torn between the knowledge that they might need to destroy the very device intended to save him and the fear that any misstep could tip Liam from the edge into oblivion. They found Bill standing beside the chamber's control console, his fingers hovering over a keypad. He looked up, his face a mask of pleading and accusation. "You don't understand," he said, voice raw. "This is his only chance. If we wait for the second surgery in LA, he'll be gone before they even pick up the scalpel." Steffi's eyes burned with tears she refused to shed. "It's not a chance, Bill. It's a death sentence masked as hope. You're playing God with his mind." Bill's jaw clenched. "I'm his father. I'll take that risk." Behind him, a countdown clock illuminated in red digits began its silent descent toward activation. That clock was their enemy. Hope seized a steel bar from a nearby cart, muscles coiling with fear and fury, and struck the console. Sparks erupted, the mechanical hum grinding to a halt. Alarm klaxons wailed, floodlights strobing as security doors slammed shut. Bill lunged forward, but Steffi tackled him, pulling him away from the system he had funded with a fortune. The scientists shouted, rushing to repair the damage. In the pandemonium, Liam's chamber began to hunch, wires gyrating in a grotesque dance. The alarum spurred frozen guards down the hall, and Steffi and Hope knew the moment had come. They had to smuggle Liam out before the doors sealed them inside forever. With frantic urgency, they scrambled for Liam, whose breathing was still labored but steady. Hope ducked under gathering gun sights. Steffi dragged Liam's inert body toward a service elevator. Bill, rallying his men, burst through the corridor's sealed doors, firing a warning shot that shattered a window into the void beyond the glacier. "Stop them," he roared. Steffi, her maternal instinct overriding every shred of vulnerability, pressed her back to the cold wall, bracelet Liam's head as Hope jammed the elevator open with a crowbar. The doors groaned, then slid shut as bullets pinged off the metal. They tumbled inside, Liam's 4 lines tangling around their limbs, and the elevator plunged into darkness, carrying them back to the surface where the night air was thick with the promise of pursuit. Outside, the helicopter stood ready, its pilot battling a blizzard that had roared to life, swirling snow and sleet around the landing pad like a white tornado. Bill's men gave chase, trudging through drifts as Steffi and Hope hoisted Liam aboard, strapping him into the medical harness meant for a soldier wounded on the battlefield. Hope whispered to Liam's comatose form of all the reasons he had to fight his children, his future, their love, while Steffi barked at the pilot to rise higher, to outrun the storm that threatened to bury them. Bill emerged from the clinic's shattered door, his trench coat flapping like a tattered flag, breath ragged as he watched his son slip from his grasp. The helicopter lifted, rotors slicing against the gale, and Bill's anguished scream was lost in the howling wind as they ascended into the swirling vortex. As they banked away from the clinic, Hope turned to Steffi, her face streaked with ice and tears. "What now?" Steffi's voice trembled with exhaustion but glowed with unyielding resolve. "We get him home. We fight this second surgery with every conventional method we can find. We rally Finn and Bridget. We expose this clinic to the world." Hope nodded, clutching Liam's hand like it was the only solid thing left in her fracturing world. Together, she breathed. "We do it together." And somewhere behind them, the lights of the forbidden clinic flickered against the storm, a beacon of ambition and hubris, as the storm closed in and their helicopter disappeared into the night. Leaving behind the wreckage of a father's faith, 2 women's courage, and the hope that, before dawn, They might bring Liam Spencer back from the edge of death without succumbing to the darkest path his father had chosen for him. The world of the bold and the beautiful has careened into utter bedlam, and as the latest spoilers reveal, the frenzy is only just beginning. Across the city's most prestigious medical centers, two names hang in the balance: Liam Spencer and Luna Nozawa. Both teetering perilously close to death's door, the outcome veiled in shocking uncertainty. From the moment Liam's life was nearly snuffed out by a stray bullet intended to save his beloved Steffy Forrester, every heartbeat has counted, every doctor's decision weighed against the cruel ticking of time. In the controlled chaos of the operating theaters, Grace Buckingham, her confidence once unshakable, now finds herself haunted by doubt as she races to stabilize Liam's condition. Simultaneously, Luna Nozawa, whose own fate was sealed by entanglements with the Spencer dynasty and secrets too volatile to contain, lies in an adjacent recovery suite, her monitors beeping erratically like a fractured heartbeat trying to cling to hope. The question burning on every fan's lips is searingly simple yet unbearably tense: who among them will live, and who will die? With each lie that unravels, each alliance that splinters, the scales of fate tip ever further into chaos. And at the heart of it all stands Steffy Forrester, poised on the brink of a departure that threatens to shake the very foundations of the show. Steffy Forrester's journey from the glittering heights of Forrester Creations to the shadowed corridors of Los Angeles Memorial Hospital has always been one of fierce loyalty and heart-wrenching sacrifice. But now she stands at a crossroads more agonizing than any she has faced before. Jacqueline MacInnes Wood, the actress whose raw talent and magnetic intensity have defined Steffy for over a decade, is on indefinite maternity leave. And whispers behind the scenes suggest that her time away from the set may stretch far longer than anyone anticipated. In the storyline whispers swirling among devoted viewers and insider blogs alike, two fates for Steffy emerge, each more gut-wrenching than the last. In one harrowing arc, Liam Spencer. Clark daughter Hope Logan's steadfast friend turned Steffy's ex and fiercest protector may require a transfer to a specialized hospital outside the city, a move that would thrust Steffy into the role of caregiver once more. Picture her packing carefully curated wardrobes for her children, loading snapshots of happier days into photo frames, then shouldering the weight of uncertainty with the steely resolve that has defined her every step. She would exchange the familiar skyline of LA for sterile wards in some distant suburb, her life reduced to the rhythmic beep of life support machines and whispered updates from doctors telling her to brace for good news or prepare for the worst. It is a storyline rich in emotional gravitas, one that would allow Steffy to remain a constant presence in Liam's struggle, her maternal instincts entwined with her lingering love for him, and yet it is only one path. The alternative is infinitely more tragic. Should Liam's fight end in final stillness beneath those harsh hospital lights, Steffy would be left to navigate the wreckage of her broken heart alone. In this scenario, Steffy Forrester, widow of her own history, mother of two, survivor of betrayals both personal and professional, would gather her children and flee Los Angeles altogether, seeking solace far from the memories etched into every corner of Spencer Publications and Forrester Creations. Perhaps she would retreat to the Pacific Northwest, to a secluded cabin where the endless expanse of forest mirrors the emptiness in her soul. There, she would sit by a window overlooking moss-draped pines, clutching a single photograph of Liam in her trembling hands, her face pressed to the glass as tiny snowflakes or spring rain wash away the shadows on her cheeks. Or maybe she would return to her Forrester roots in San Francisco, inhabiting the old Forrester estate where echoes of her ancestors' triumphs and tragedies mingle with the ghosts of her own losses. Regardless of the setting, her departure would be deafening in its absence, a gaping hole in the ensemble cast, a testament to the finality of grief, and a narrative earthquake so profound that it would reverberate through every subsequent storyline. In this version, Jacqueline MacInnes Wood's exit would not be a mere hiatus, but a dramatic narrative event, one that forces the show to reckon with the void left by a character who has been its pulsating heart for years. As if those possibilities were not enough to leave viewers breathless, the summer previews also hint at an implosion within the marriage of Dr. John Finn Finnegan and Steffy Forrester. An alliance once forged in love and tempered by adversity now threatening to fracture under the weight of betrayal and blame. According to the spoilers circulating among fan forums, Steffy may very well point her finger at Finn for the horrors that have lately befallen her family, his connection to Luna Nozawa, his emotional entanglement with Bill Spencer's War of Wills, and the choices he made in the wake of Grace Buckingham's fateful surgery. Rumors abound that Steffy will question whether Finn's loyalty to the Hippocratic Oath blinded him to the real threat Luna posed, or worse, whether his own feelings for the young woman led him to make compromises that jeopardized both Liam and Luna. If those tensions erupt into divorce proceedings, it would mark a watershed moment for the pair known affectionately as Shin, a breakup so seismic that it could rewrite the show's roadmap for seasons to come. Steffy's departure, in this light, would be further complicated. No longer simply the grieving ex, she would become the scorned wife, her decisions propelled not only by sorrow, but by a sense of profound betrayal. Taken together, these narrative threads weave a tapestry of suspense so intricate and potent that the very future of the bold and the beautiful seems to teeter on the edge of an abyss. Will Liam and Luna both survive to clash in courtroom duels, boardroom showdowns, and forbidden romances? Or will one or both succumb to the violence and intrigue that swirl around the Spencer-Forrester power struggle? How will Steffy's exit reshape the power dynamics at Forrester Creations and the alliances at Spencer Publications? Can Finn and Steffy overcome the chasm that threatens to tear them apart? Or will divorce be the penultimate twist in a tale of love tested beyond measure? And most tantalizingly of all, when Jacqueline MacInnes Wood finally steps through those exit doors, will it signal a temporary farewell or the end of an era, only to be followed by a triumphant return that sends shockwaves through the cast once more? In the end, one certainty remains. The bold and the beautiful writers have stacked their deck with stakes higher than ever before, daring the audience to pick sides, to hope against hope, and to brace for heartbreak. Steffy Forrester's fate. And, by extension, Jacqueline MacInnes Wood's tenure on the show has never been more precarious, suspended between two outcomes that promise either a poignant new chapter or a heart-shattering finale. As you tune in to the next explosive episodes, keep your allegiances close and your tissues closer, for the answers may be as devastating as they are unforgettable. And when the moment arrives, will you stand with Steffy as she fights to save the man she loves, or will you watch her walk away, vanishing into the gathering dusk of a world that simply cannot contain her? Only time and one final, electrifying revelation will tell.